Venezuela's reaffirmed that the oil licenses revoked by Washington's government on a U.S. company has not affected national production. Healthcare workers in Argentina have criticized the state of the healthcare system in the face of growing demand caused by government policies that have led to increased poverty and a financial crisis. And the Palestinian resistance denied claims made by Western media outlets and U.S. government officials regarding an alleged agreement. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos. I'm from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. We now begin with the information. On Thursday, Venezuela's Vice President and also Minister of Oil, teleSUR Rodriguez, stated that the license revoked by Washington's government on a U.S. company has not affected oil production in the country. According to Rodriguez, the Bolivarian nation continues to produce more than 1 million barrels of crude oil per day. She pointed out that the country respects agreements signed with partners and assured the audience that the oil fields are operating and producing normally. In this way, she provided a detailed summary of the development of the national production during her speech at the Fede Industria Expo event in Caracas, the capital of the nation.
The workers of PDVSA maintain their production plan despite the fact that both PDVSA and Partner B are victims of unilateral coercive measures. In the case of Venezuela, you know this because of the anti-blockade law and because of our constitution. We do not recognize any jurisdiction other than the jurisdiction of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
And while in other cities of Latin America, the popular self-built neighborhoods are expelled and destroyed, in Venezuela, they consolidate our spaces of resistance. Let's see more in the following report.
In the heart of the city of Caracas, on one side of Rómulo Gallegos Avenue, this arch begins La Lucha, a popular neighborhood, which, far from being evicted by the government, today is part of the urban tourist route. Well, with the struggle of the people of the town, the few neighbors that were there, I understand, because when I was born it was already there, not like that, but it was already done. With self-construction? Yes, self-construction. Each one built his own. Some put their things of zinc, others of cardboard, others of wood, and so on. In the 1950s, dozens of families settled here, like thousands of neighborhoods throughout Latin America. Among others, my father was one of those who arrived. Well, everyone built their own little house, you know, but by the end, look at what we have achieved. There are some beautiful houses here. And alternating with businesses, warehouses and popular enterprises that visitors can visit on their own or together with the street leaders who organize the neighbors. We are already having the title of the lands, thanks to our revolution, because it is really thanks to the revolution that we have been receiving all these things, all these beautiful benefits. But also, thanks to mutual aid organization.
It helps the people. That is why we were helping, because this is a soft fish. The kilo of goldfish is worth $4, and in those other places you can get it for $12, $13, and here it is for $. Well, the neighborhood is excellent, they buy, but it is on credit.
Is not poverty tourism, is knowing how the Venezuelan people are resisting. It has served to unite the community. We are all happy. We are happy, united, because we know that what is coming is good for the improvement of the whole community and person.
callecitas está Susana.
Among its small streets, there is Susana. At 106 years old, she is a living bastion of the recent history of Venezuela and a source of pride for her community. She was a worker, a parent, and worked in family homes.
Entre ellos con mi presidente Chávez.
Among them I carry my President Chavez, that every day in the world I tell him when I am killed or die and God calls me, that my President Chavez goes with me in my coffin. Because he was a man that gave me a lot of advice, we all went out together in a van, all together to drink, with the propaganda and do all that.
Todas las propagandas y todo eso.
Un sueño socialista por el que Susana
A
trabajó.
social dream for which Susana has worked since she was young, and that today, with more than a century of life, can finally live in her own struggle, and that of all neighbors.
Jesús Romero y Paola Dragnik, Telesur, Venezuela.
We now move on to other topics. 415 people have died in El Salvador's prisons since President Nayib Bukele introduced a state of emergency in the country. This was announced at a press conference in San Salvador, the capital, on Thursday by several human rights organizations. Representatives of the Human Rights Commission and lawyers for the Tutela Legal Maria Julia Hernandez organization claim that measures intended to combat violent gangs have evolved into tools of social control. They claim that President Bukele's government has suspended constitutional guarantees in order to commit serious human rights violations, resulting in the imprisonment of 85,000 people in less than 3 years. Now I have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. Healthcare workers in Argentina have criticized the state of the healthcare system in the face of growing demand caused by government policies that have led to increased poverty and a financial crisis. This Friday, the Workers' Union will hold a Congress in Buenos Aires to evaluate the deficiencies in the country's health system and agree on a plan of action for the sector. The meeting's slogan is "Health Workers are Standing Up." Representatives will use it to denounce budget cuts to public health and lack of supplies. Consequently, hundreds of medical centers are on the verge of closure, and prevention programs for the country's most vulnerable populations are under threat of possible dismantling. And amidst the repression carried out by the Panamanian executive in the country in an attempt to contain the widespread protests across the nation, the violent arrest of leaders continue. Indigenous leaders Lucrecia Caizamo and Enelda Salazar, who represent the Emberá and Wonan collective bands, were violently detained by the National Border Service. The agency had also issued arrest warrants for Elibardo Mambache and Isaías Caizamo, who joined the protest initiated on April 23rd by trade unions, students, and various civil society organizations. The protests were held in rejection of Law 462 of the reform of the social security system and also in defense of water and rivers, as well as in opposition to the surrender of national sovereignty.
I want to express my feelings. I am not a criminal. They only have me here for defending my country, my rights, as an indigenous woman. We are fighting for our children, for the future tomorrow, because we do not agree with Law 462.
We go now to Cuba's President Miguel Diaz-Canel confirmed that energy recovery in the island is a top priority. During his podcast from the presidency, the Cuban president emphasized the importance of operating the national electric power system, given that the economy has ground to a halt. He also explained that demand had grown considerably in May compared to March in both the mornings and afternoons. Diaz-Canel dismissed false reports about the electricity situation, referring to the deactivation of 2 thermoelectric power plants for 18 months. Meanwhile, in Mexico, President Claudia Sheinbaum has issued a decree reforming the federal firearms and explosives law, establishing new and stricter regulations on their use and possession. Among the main measures, it prohibits the manufacture of weapons using 3D printers and imposes harsher penalties for those who carry weapons without authorization. The decree, published in the official journal of the Federation, also regulates the use of armored vehicles adapted for armament and prohibits the sale and shipment of arms and ammunition through the internet. In defense, the Secretariat of National Defense will be in charge of authorizing the use of weapons and war materials, ensuring a stricter control over their distribution and use.
La presidenta constitucional de los Estados Unidos mexicanos, doctora Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo.
And the United States has intensified its crackdown on migrants. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency carries out inhumane raids without respecting migrants' legal status, age, or health conditions, or court decisions. They are many times caught with violence in their workplaces, even though in many cases they have all the requirements demanded by the legal framework. Even in the courts where they are confident of their legal standing, they may be arrested. Stephen Miller, the so-called border czar, and Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, have increased the deportation quota to 3,000 people a day. They assured that they would not only fortify the border, but also, in their words, clean up their territory, even though this means dismembering entire families and violating rights and guarantees. We continue in the United States as the Department of Health and Human Services has found the former President Joe Biden's administration has failed to investigate more than 7,300 allegations of children migrant trafficking. The figure was determined after agency officials submitted for analysis more than 65,000 reports on unaccompanied migrant minors that were left over from Biden's administration. Investigations began last February, and since then, over 18,000 cases have been processed. However, in addition to the over 7,300 reports of trafficking, 1,688 have yet to be examined regarding possible fraudulent sponsors in the recruitment of children, and another 46,311 with leads on beneficiaries, staff, and the unaccompanied minors themselves. In other news, Turkish Foreign Ministry Hakan Fidan, during a visit to Kiev, proposed that Turkey hold a landmark meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and U.S. President Donald Trump. Fidan suggested that such a summit, under the direction of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, could build on the recent rounds of Istanbul talks and help advance efforts to end the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The proposal follows Fidan's recent diplomatic engagement in Moscow and Kiev, as Turkey continues its efforts to mediate a peaceful resolution of the conflict. So far, no date or confirmation from all parties has been announced.
Özellikle uzun süreli bir ateşkesin hayata geçmesi için bundan sonraki belki aşamada bir
In the
liderler
next stage, the leaders' meeting would be very good to achieve a long-term ceasefire. Honestly think.
Uzun süreli bir ateşkesin hayata geçmesi için çok iyi olur diye değerlendiriyorum açıkçası. Sayın Erdoğan'ın
We believe that it is possible to crown the first and second Istanbul talks with a meeting between Mr. Trump, Mr. Putin, and Mr. Zelensky under the leadership of Mr. Erdogan.
Mümkün olabilir diye değerlendiriyoruz açıkçası.
We have a second short break coming up, but before, be sure to follow us on Facebook at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverages, and much more. Follow the page and activate notifications to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. The Palestinian resistance, Hamas, has denied claims made by Western media outlets and U.S. government officials regarding an alleged agreement. According to them, the deal between Hamas and the White House envoy was altered to align with Zionist interests. Besen Naim, a member of the Hamas political bureau, has confirmed that this new agreement represents the continuation of massacres and hunger. The proposal, which is still being analyzed by the group, represents, in their words, a complete reversal of the discussions held with Stephen Witkoff at the beginning of the week. Naim asserts that the new document fails to address any of the fundamental demands of the Palestinian people. Nevertheless, he confirms that Hamas is reviewing this new plan with full national responsibility. And we continue on topic as given the situation in Gaza, the United Nations Relief and Work Agency, UNRWA, for Palestinian refugees urges immediate and unimpeded humanitarian access to the enclave. It stressed that the humanitarian needs in Gaza are enormous and growing and called for urgent international action to open the border crossings and ensure a continuous and unimpeded flow of aid. In this way, the UNRWA revealed that in its warehouse in Jordan, it contains enough aid to supply more than 200,000 people, all ready for immediate delivery and only awaiting the lifting of the blockade by the Zionist forces.
To the situation.
And on Thursday, the Yemeni army has announced that it launched a hypersonic missile attack on Israeli targets in the occupied Palestinian territories. They confirmed that the attack was directed at Lod Airport, also known as Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. Following the attack, the airport suspended all flights. Yemeni forces confirmed that they would continue to fulfill their religious, moral, and humanitarian duties towards Palestinian people until the aggression ceased and the siege was lifted. The attack comes amid brutal Zionist aggression against Palestinians in Gaza and also follows an attack by genocidal forces on civilian property at the airport in Yemen. Meanwhile, also on Thursday, the government of Italy announced its willingness to take in the only survivor son of Dr. Al-Najjar, a Palestinian pediatrician who lost 9 children to Zionist attacks. The Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement expressing its commitment to transfer the 11-year-old boy who is in serious condition in a hospital in Khan Yunis. The Italian authorities underlined their respect for the will of the child's mother and her relatives and assured that they would be closely monitoring the case, which has caused a profound impact around the world as it reflects the brutality of the war of extermination waged by Zionism against Palestinian women and children. And we now move on to other topics. In China, representatives from over 60 countries have participated in the signing ceremony of the agreement for the creation of the International Court of Mediation. The event was presided over by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and attended by nearly 20 international organizations, including the United Nations. According to the Foreign Ministry of the Asian giant, after joint efforts, the negotiation of the founding treaty were concluded and the nations agreed to locate the headquarters of the institution in Hong Kong. The new court is the first intergovernmental legal body dedicated exclusively to resolving international disputes through mediation, aiming to promote the principles of the United Nations Charter and strengthen multilateral mechanisms for the peaceful settlement of disputes.
Thank you.
We go now to culture. In our continent, samba is a lively, rhythmic Brazilian dance that is often performed to Brazilian music. Let's see more in the following report.
La samba es un género musical y un baile que personifica.
Samba is a musical genre and a dance that embodies the essence of Brazilian culture. It emerged between the late 19th and early 20th century in the suburbs of Rio de Janeiro, where the Afro-Brazilian communities gathered to celebrate their tradition and express their creativity. It's a fusion of African rhythms, European melodies, and indigenous elements. It's characterized by its melodies and lyrics that often deal with themes of love, joy, and daily life. The word samba is believed to have African roots, possibly derived from the term semba, which refers to a type of Angolan dance.
Que se refiere a un tipo de danza de Angola. Como danza, se caracteriza por sus movimientos enérgicos.
As a dance, it is characterized by its energetic movements, which often include sliding steps, turns, and undulating hip movements. The steps vary according to style and region, but generally involve quick and agile footwork. The colorful costumes, adorned with sequins and feathers, complement the beauty of the dance. The samba is danced in couples or in groups, and is often performed at carnivals and festivals. One of the most important characters of this dance is the portabandeira, a woman who carries the flag of the samba school. She is a respected figure in the community. There is also the Rainha da Bateria, or the Queen of the Drums, a beautiful and charismatic woman who parades at the front of the drums. The pasistas are also part of the procession. They are the dancers who parade in groups.
Son los bailarines que desfilan en grupos. En cuanto a la música, la samba se distingue por...
As for the music, the samba is distinguished by its syncopated rhythms. The main instruments include the guitar, the cavaquinho, which is a type of ukulele, the pandeiro or tambourine, which is used to mark the rhythm and add ornaments, a large double-headed drum called the zurdo, used to mark the pulse, the tamborin, a small hand drum that creates fast and complex rhythms, a whistle called apito to give signals and mark, as well as other percussion instruments. The mestre sala is the director of the samba school, who leads the batería and coordinates the parade.
Que lidera la batería y coordina el desfile.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.